Okay, so I hope that that answers that question. I think I have time for one more. My partner and I are have very different attitudes towards walking our dog. Sounds crazy, I know, but it's true. He's much more relaxed than I am, allowing our dog to explore, meet other dogs, walk off the lead by the road, and good generally have a pretty good time. On the other hand, I'm vigilant for threat. We live in a rough area where there are some aggressive dogs and attacks have happened. I know that my partner's approach gives our dog a sense of joyful freedom, and I appreciate that with my heart. But I can't help feeling a lack of safety and trust when it comes to this approach. What if he misses a sign and something happens? How can we resolve our different approaches to our daily dog walks together? Thanks, Maria. Okay, thank you for thanking me, because I am doing this pro bono. There's no the best way to get me to answer your questions is to be grateful for it. Okay, so yes, it's clear you have different attitudes about this. That's okay. The way that you start unraveling this, the way that you start really opening up this situation, is to have a conversation about why he believes that his way of doing this is the right way. And then instead of listening to him about his reasons while trying to come up with a counter argument, you actually write the things down. You actually just listen. Don't try to change his mind. Don't try to any of this stuff. So, because he might know something you don't know, right? So we don't know that. And then once you've listened to them, you can say, okay, are you open to listening to my side of it? And they might say yes, they might say no, and respect that. So if they say no, just say, okay, cool. I would like to at some point talk about this, because I feel like I now understand better where you're coming from, and I would like you to understand better where I'm coming from as well. And when you have that opportunity to have that conversation, don't go into having counter arguments. Don't say, well, you said this and I'm saying this. Just none of that stuff. Just say, hey, here's where I'm coming from. And just say, okay, thank you for listening to me. And you can even just ask, hey, what did you understand that I meant? Because oftentimes these things are actually misunderstandings. And oftentimes you can come to a conclusion together. So you might say, this dog is so important to me. I'm really afraid that something bad is going to happen, and it would feel like losing a family member, or for them to get injured. And I don't expect you to agree with me, or I don't expect you to, do what I want to do with the dog. I'm just wanting to give you an understanding of why I am the way I am about this. And once you have a better understanding together about where the other person is coming from, then you might come up with a solution, a flexible solution towards both of you. So that could, for example, be a flexi lead, one of those leads that give you like 5 meters, and it kind of reels in. You can reel the dog in, or, so you hold his handle. I might actually even have one in the car. I don't have it in the car. So that gives the dog so if, for example, for your partner, it's important that the dog has a sense of freedom, that might actually give the dog a sense of freedom whilst still honoring your point of view, which is to keep the dog safe. So, but you don't actually know what the solution might be until you've had those conversations, until you actually understand what's important to him about the dog's experience, and what's important to you about the dog's experience or the safety thereof. So one step at a time. Step number 1, ask to understand where he's coming from. And then step number 2, if he doesn't ask you about where you're coming from, ask him if he's willing to talk about where you're coming from. And then come together, and then don't think there has to be a universal black and white decision to be made right now about it. Just let it be a process of actually getting to know and communicating about the values around this issue. Okay, I can't wait to hear how that goes, so please let me know. It's always great to hear if this worked and if it was valuable to you. So thank you everyone for today's session. I am privileged to be a part of your personal development journey, and yeah, we'll see you again next week. You look after yourself.